Hello, and welcome to Hobby Showdown. My name is Phil.
I'm Ariel.
Crickets?
It's been so long, I forgot.
It has been a while. So, it's been about 2 months since we last recorded.
Whoops.
But here, we're back. And we don't need an excuse.
That's what therapy has done for him.
What? So, there would be a lot to talk about. But for the sake of time, we wanted to quickly wrap up the last couple of months and just talk about some of the highlights. A book and a game from each.
Yes.
So let's start with books.
Do it to it.
Okay. Take it away. His name starts with an A.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were being Canadian or if it was because my name started with an A.
I guess that did sound kind of Canadian. Sorry.
The book that I picked is the one that I so struggle to describe what it was about. And quite honestly, I still can't, completely describe what it's about.
So you read the entire book.
Yes.
And you don't know what happened.
No, I do know what happened. But you know when books are just, so big that they're hard to describe? Summarize The Way of Kings in one sentence.
No!
So, the book that I read that was my favorite was Malice by Gwynne. So, this book, it follows multiple people. They live in a kingdom. It's pretty, classic fantasy. There's quite a few tropes. It has the Chosen One trope in it. Yeah, there's a bunch of different kingdoms. And there's this big evil dude coming, and he's gonna find his champion. And then there's the good guy coming, and he needs a champion too. But who's the champions? We don't know. Yeah. So I loved this book. Solid 5 stars from me.
High praise.
I really enjoyed this, and I wasn't even done, and I ordered the second book because I loved it so much. So
there are multiple perspectives, right?
Correct.
Both good and bad, would you say? Or is it kind of vague as far as the good and evil?
There's one bad character that you definitely know that is bad, and you follow his perspective.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely have to give it a shot. It sounds... every time she put the book down, she would just tell me how good it was, and so it's definitely something that's on my TBR.
It was a good one. I highly recommend it.
So, in our personal lives, we have been watching The Witcher, the Netflix version of it.
We're behind the times.
We are kind of behind the times, but fortunately enough, I've been reading the books as well, and I wanted to talk about in this video, Sword of Destiny.
By who?
By Andrzej Sapkowski. What I really like about The Witcher is that it's your kind of classical fantasy. You've got your dwarves, your elves, and whatnot. You've got a good guy or, your protagonist fighting the bad guys and the monsters. But I think what I really like is how it makes things kind of gray. The monsters aren't necessarily evil. He's not necessarily your typical good guy as well. He may have his flaws and he's a little aloof. But I really like the exploration of what is good and what is bad in this made-up world, which could reflect our own world as well. And it's really fun too. I thought it was going to be this really serious character, Geralt, going off and fighting these bad guys, and it was just kind of really dark and grim. But you have Dandelion, you have, all the comedy that ensues with him. You have the exchanges with Geralt and Yennefer as well, which, adds a little bit more of that character development as well, which I really enjoy in books. And so I would rate it a 4 out of 5. I really like the setup for the rest of the series with Ciri and everything. And it makes watching the TV show a lot more fun too. So yeah, I really enjoyed Sword of Destiny.
Good. All right, on to games.
Let's talk about some games. Do you want me to go first, or?
Yeah, let's just get it over with.
She sees what game I have here, and surprise, it's not a game, it's a game expansion. It is Agricola, Farmers of the Moor. That's how you pronounce it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So,
You have to sound like a cow.
Moor. It is farming, so yes.
Good one.
So Farmers of the Moor is an expansion, and this is the revised edition for from the 2017 version. It's, as you can tell, it's a pretty big box for an expansion, and not only does it add some cards to the game, but it completely changes the gameplay. I know. Magic.
Witchcraft.
Wizardry. That does not take place in Agricola, Farmers of the Moor.
It's place in Berlin. Camelot. Witchcraft.
Stop it. What it adds is that you have to clear your farm with forests and moors, hence the name. In addition, it adds a few mechanisms where you have to use wood or peat to fuel your house every round.
Why Pete? That's so mean. Poor Pete.
P-E-E-T. And if you don't heat up your house, your workers get sick and you have to send them to the infirmary. And they rest for a turn, but then they come back to you. So
you have to kill Pete, or your other workers have to go to the hospital.
Enough! I want my
Pete
back.
So in conclusion, I feel like this creates Agricola into a whole different game.
Whoa.
I know. It doesn't just enhance Agricola. I could play Agricola many, many times, just the base game. But this feels like another game in and of itself. And I would love to explore this game and its mechanisms as well. I know it's not the most popular expansion to Agricola.
But why?
Because there are too many mechanisms. But I think it's really fantastic. So I really recommend this if you want Agricola, but pretty much a whole different game. Agricola 1.5, if you will.
Why not 2.0?
That's Caverna. If you play Agricola, you'll see why.
I'm not going to play Agricola.
You will.
No, I won't.
You will. Excuse me. Those inner demons are coming out. Take it away, Ariel.
No. I have actually played a surprising amount of games the past few months because Phil got the premium or special edition of Board Game Arena. So he's been inviting me to some games, me and my dad to some games. And some friends.
Yeah, we're starting our little own board game group digitally. It's pretty fun.
It has been a lot of fun. So the game that I chose to talk about is, I suppose, Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Ooh, good choice.
Thank you. I'm glad you approve.
Stamp.
So, Lost Ruins of Arnak. I love deck building games. They're probably my top games to play. But Lost Ruins of Arnak has a lot more to it. There's board play. You have your little meeples. They're architects, isn't that what they call them?
Or explorers? I don't know.
Maybe.
I can't.
And it was a game that I really enjoyed. It definitely was. I have a harder time playing games digitally when I don't already know how to play them. I feel like it takes me a little bit longer to figure out how to play. So the first time we played, I was like tapping everything on the board, couldn't figure out what to do, so I just passed my turn, and then later Phil was like, yeah, you passed like a huge chunk of the game. So that was fun. We restarted that game.
We sure did.
Because me and one of our other friends that we were playing the game with, she had done the same thing. So, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. I do, one of my biggest criticisms of the game, or something that I enjoy more in like a Dominion or even a Clink, is that there's not the redraw of cards after each turn. It's after each round. So there's 5 rounds, so you're really only drawing your cards 5 times. Yeah. So it almost makes the deck building feel like it's not as important as the going other places to get things. Like, it really just depends on what your hand is and what cards are available to buy. But I mean, other than that, like, it still is really enjoyable. It's a really pretty game.
It is.
The artwork is really, really pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still really enjoyed it. We finished the round. I did not come in last, which was exciting. did not come in first, but I did not come in last. So.
And that's what's most important.
I guess.
No, it's the fun of it.
Oh.
The journey.
Oh.
Not the destination.
That's what he's been saying, is my dad, who has no idea how to play any of these games, beats him at every single game that we've played, so. That's how he makes himself feel better.
Yeah. I'm having fun.
Sounded so strained.
I agree. With the deck building aspect, I was hoping to cycle through those cards and play them more.
Yeah.
But even like at the last round, a card that I had bought, 2 rounds before that I hadn't even played, I kind of ran out of turns to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe if I played better, I don't know, maybe I could have done it, but...
Yeah, it really feels like the type of game that you have to play multiple times in order to really get each aspect of the game, because there's a lot going on in this game. So many different ways to get points. Yeah. And it's just... There's still parts of it that I don't 100% understand.
Same. There's a new expansion that was announced a couple weeks ago at Essen, Spiel.
That's exciting.
And a lot of people are excited for it, but,
Yeah, it's a fun game.
It's really fun, and it's free. You don't need to be a premium member on Board Game Arena to play it. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Leave a comment about a book or a game that you have read or played recently that you really enjoyed, one that you think might be up our alley. We'd love to hear any of that.
Like and subscribe, and we hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. See ya.
What? How did we both do that at the same time?
That was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
Doing it.
I'm a T-Rex.
Okay, I'm keeping that in. How can I explain this? But by actually reading the back of the game board.
Oh my gosh.
Agricola, Farmers of the Moor is the revive. No, I'm just joking.